Welcome to the Rabbi Show. The Rabbi Show. Now you can connect with your own personal rabbi. Rabbi Yitzwine from the Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas is here at 257 KDWN.
All right, good morning. My name is Yitzwine. I am the Rabbi of Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas and your host here on the Rabbi Show. And I have great news for you. Oh my goodness. Great news. You ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. If you're driving, I hope you're not driving too fast. When you hear this, you ready for this? The Almighty loves you very much. Very much. It's great. You got to know it. Got to know it. Because life sometimes is a little rumble and tumble. It's not always so easy. It's not always smooth. But if you know that God loves you more than you love your children, then you will get through it. How can anyone love me more than my children? Well, listen. You know, we Jews are always focused. You know, we know that in any kind of religion, their faith and knowledge both play an important role. In your version of religion, whatever religion you are, does faith take precedence over knowledge, or does knowledge take precedence over faith? They're elements of both, okay? But do you stop and say, listen, this is what I know, this is what my mind says, and because my mind says that, that's where I turn my emotions and my faith and my beliefs? Or do you stop and say, listen, this is just like how I'm feeling. Because I'm feeling, I'm going to create a reality that makes me feel nice, right? I believe that when Marx said that religion is the opiate of the masses, I also don't believe in the same religion that he doesn't believe in. Marx and I had something in common. Neither of us believe in that kind of religion. That the idea that, you know, I want to think something to be true. I really, really want something to be true. So I'm going to create a system of belief and gather as much evidence as I can to support whatever I'm desiring to believe is true. So I'm not into that. That's not a Jewish way to think. We find in the one of the main prayers that Jews say, we say it every day. We say this at least 3 times a day. And then what happened was it was so important. Actually, it was a piece taken from our high holiday prayers. It was so important. It was so impactful, speaking about God's kingship, that we threw it into our daily prayers 3 times a day. You might be familiar with it. It's known as the Aleinu prayer. If you've ever been to a synagogue and they go, Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, right? So it says, V'yadata yom v'shevos elavavecha. It's a quote from the Torah, from the Bible. And it says, and you will know this day and turn your hearts towards you. You'll know what? You'll know there's a God, and you know God's intimately involved in your life. And then everything else that comes from that. So it's interesting. So, you know, when I see the kids all the time, I say, hey, you're thinking about God? And I use the word Hashem when I'm speaking with people that are connected with Judaism. Are you thinking about Hashem? Are you thinking about God? And if they say yes, I go, you're doing a mitzvah. You're fulfilling a commandment. Because that is the first commandment of the 10 commandments, right? The first commandment of the 10 commandments is, know there's a God. Know that I am the Lord God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. So that means that every time you just think about God, you're just aware of God's presence, you are doing a mitzvah. And it is so cool because so many people have heard me ask this question so many times that there's a little group of kids that they go to a Jewish school and they live next door to me, and there's a carpool that happens to come and pick them up to go to school. And I do my best to swing by my house in the morning just to say, you know, goodbye to my daughter. She goes to school. So I see these kids next door, and I always like walk over, and they're always like these kids, and they're strapped in this big, you know, van. And they're like, Rabbi Wine, Rabbi Wine, Rabbi Wine. And I said, good morning, everybody. And they go, are you thinking about Hashem? Are you thinking about God? I love that. They ask me. Anyway, so if you're thinking about God, you're doing a mitzvah. It's awesome. It's the way to go. Number to call, 702-257-5396, 702-257-5396. I wish to discuss a very serious matter with you today. Do you know what the BDS movement is? BDS. You know, people throw around all these letters, so sometimes you got to be careful. You don't always know. You don't know if it's clean or not. The family show. Yes, what I'm talking. This is a family show, and And so we'll keep it that way. The BDS movement is the boycott, divestment, sanction movement against Israel. It's a group of anti-Semites. It's a group of real horrible Jew haters who have said, what we're going to do is we're going to encourage people to hit Israel where it counts in the wallet. And we're going to encourage all sorts of people to not do business with Israel or Israeli companies. And by doing so, we will harm Israel. Now, of course, there's a lot of Israeli companies that are going on. I love these people. I just love the concept. I will not benefit from anything that came out of Israel. Okay, put your cell phone down, folks. Everyone knows cell phones came from Israel. Okay, stop going to the doctor because so much medicine has come out of Israel. Like, just stop it. Don't even bother taking any medicine because so much of it came, surgeries, all this medical technology, basic technology that goes on today. So much of the stuff came from Israel. But nonetheless, you do have a group of people, and they're not a very nice group, by the way. And they are doing their best, so to speak, to hurt Israel where it hurts and divest from Israel. So it's called the BDS movement, and there's a whole bunch of people that are involved in this movement. And but there's a good thing that's happening on Monday, God willing, in Nevada. And I wanted to tell you about this. And if you go onto my Facebook page, go to Yitzwine, Y-I-T-Z-W-Y-N-E, you'll actually get, it'll all be nice and easy for you. So what happens is that our Lieutenant Governor, Mark Hutchinson, has introduced a bill, Bill 26, into the Senate Bill 26, that will make it that the state of Nevada will oppose the efforts of companies that boycott, divest, or sanction Israel. So what this means is that if you're in Nevada and you're walking around, you're just like doing what you can do business with any company you want. But if you are representing the state of Nevada, the government entity, then before investing in a company, they're going to require that they look at that company. And if that company participates in the BDS movement, the anti-Israel, the boycotting Israel movement, so then the state of Nevada will not do business with them. So, there's a lot. And you think, well, how many could this be? Well, it actually is a lot. There's Governor Cuomo in New York signed an executive order last year that made it so that state of New York would do exactly what we're trying to go push through the legislature this Monday. And you have to know that you might stop and say, well, how many companies really are involved in this? The answer is there's not a lot. The answer is there's not a lot of companies that are involved in this, but it doesn't matter if there's a lot or a little. And none of them are really American companies, by the way. But it doesn't make a difference if it's a lot or a little. If you stand up and say, we are anti the BDS movement, then that means that you are supporting Israel. It means you support Israel, you care about Israel, and it means that someone who is an enemy of your friend Israel is now your enemy. What do you think of that? 702-257-5396. There is a group of people out there that are encouraging others to boycott Israel, Israeli companies. How do you stop them? One of the ways you can stop them is by supporting the Nevada legislature in the passing of Senate Bill 26. And actually there's going to be a group of people getting together 1 o'clock at the Grant Sawyer office building and 1 o'clock on Monday. And there's in support of this. And you'll have a chance to speak up in support of this particular bill. And if you go on my Facebook page, I actually put a link there that you can go on there and actually give your opinion in the government. It's not a vote. It's not a referendum. But you give your opinion to the legislature in terms of how you feel about this, if you support it or you don't support it, which is just an amazing thing, by the way, that we live in a country that you can submit your opinion to the legislature before they vote on any issue. It's really an amazing thing. Every bill, you can do this, by the way. Every bill, you can you can click on and say, okay, by the way, this is what it is. So I encourage you to do this. And it's even if you're not passionate about this, which you should be, because I think you should be. But it's interesting to note that we live in a world. We Nevadans live in a situation that we can chime in whatever the government is going this way or that way. We can kind of cast a vote to let our representatives know, how we feel about an issue or not. It really is it is an amazing thing. You think how many countries actually do that and have a system that you can voice your opinion without being part of a mob. Okay, the number to call 702-257-5396. 702-257-5396. What do you do? How do you feel about the BDS movement? Is this something that bothers you? Or you really, you don't really understand it, you couldn't care less, that kind of stuff. So, I kind of wanted to share just like a few little things, about that. So, for example, there's a list of people that are boycotting Israel. So I want to tell you who these are. You ready for this? And I hope you're sitting down for this, folks. You know who boycotts Israel? Here it is. Dum, 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 dum. The United Methodist Church. The pension funds boycott of 5 Israeli banks. Right? I bet you didn't know this. I bet if you were a Methodist, did you know that the United Methodist Church has come out against Israel? Do you know this? Isn't that sick? Hey, buddy, listen, we didn't kill Jesus. We gave you Jesus. We gave you Jesus. You should be thanking the Jews, not trying to hurt the Jews. Crazy. Another one. I almost don't even want to get off that one. The other day I gave an interview to someone. I think he's doing his PhD, and he's being a minister. So he called me up. Part of his studies included discussing with the rabbi about a Jewish faith, and and we're talking about God, and he goes, Rabbi, you and I are really on board. We're on the same page of this. I don't think he's a Methodist. He's not a Methodist, that's for sure. Irish Building Materials Corporation sold off 25 of its equity stake in Nesher Cement. Nesher Cement is an Israeli company. They joined in with the BDS movement. Irish Building Materials. It kind of makes you say, I'm not going to drink a Jameson whiskey anymore, doesn't it? I don't know if I'm going to go that far. Jameson is the whiskey I drink when I ski because it's like, it's cheap. Generally we like scotches, but they usually charge a premium when you get the single malt scotches if you're on a ski hill. Anyway, so that's that. The United Electrical Workers Union was the first major U.S. national trade union to adopt BDS. Now, again, I'm not exactly sure how that played out. I'm not exactly sure how that played out, but you got to know. You got to know that people that adopt BDS are making a strong statement that they are anti-Israel and anti-Jewish. And how do you feel about that? What can be done about that? The number to call 702-257-5396. 702-257-5396. My name is Rabbi Yitzwine. I'm the Rabbi of Young Israel Asia, Las Vegas. And let's go to Bubby A. Good morning, Bubby A.
Good morning, dear. I just wanted to say everybody who's able to and who, physically and mentally able to join us tomorrow, please come to this meeting to show your support. We can't let the Hitlers of the world, and there are many, many, many of them in many different guises, okay? They're in many different, they can say they're this, they're that, they're good people and everything. We know they're out to destroy Jews, period.
Right.
And so the Nazis of the world have to be on alert that we're not going to be led away like sheep anymore. Okay?
Amen. I love that.
Okay, darling. I just want to let you know, and there were many, many fighters back in the day when people were led away like sheep. There were many who were very strong and tried to fight back. But Jewish people weren't gun owners. Jewish people were peace-loving people, and they weren't prepared for slaughter. But there were many who did fight back, and thank God.
Why do you think people are so apathetic? Why do you think Jews are apathetic? Why do you think Jews feel they can't make a difference?
It's a very hard thing to say. It's kind of like everybody. I can't imagine all decent people, even anybody, Gentiles, Jews, whatever you are, you want to live your life peacefully. You want to raise your children. You want to make a living. You want to have a family life. People are not generally prepared for this kind of stuff, and there's always evil in the world that creeps in, and you're totally, really, most of us are totally unprepared for it.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I agree with you. It's like that's not what our minds are at. Our minds are on our families. We're making a living. We're trying to make the world a better place. And then someone comes to attack you, and it's almost like people get too busy.
yeah,
And they say, listen, I have to wash my dog's hair. I can't go to a rally. I can't speak up. I can't. But as I announced, and I posted this on Facebook, even if you cannot go out, you can't, you work, you have a job, you're not retired, you have other obligations, you can't get out to the Grand Story office building tomorrow at 1 p.m. to speak out for these in support of Senate Bill 26 that will oppose the efforts of companies that are boycotting and divesting and sanctioning Israel. So even if you cannot make it out to the courthouse there, you can go online and you can click this link and say your piece, like say that you support this bill to the legislature, and they will know that. And all these things are algorithms, right? So I know if I get 5 phone calls on a Sunday morning, that I know that that's going to represent more than 5,000 people listening to this show. I know it. That's just the way it goes. So because that's the way it works. So they know that there's only a certain number of people that are gonna click on that website on the Nevada State Legislature, and every person that clicks really represents like another 1,000 people. But so if you point a note, if you point yourself in the direction and say, by golly, this is something that's important to us, then you make a difference. And I think a lot of people forget that they can make a difference in this world.
And if you think it's too small and it doesn't matter, it does matter. I think people have to understand that even if it's a small, excuse me, my throat is a little odd. It's just, if you think it's so small and it doesn't matter, it does matter. These people who are so ignorant, and they are, for the most part, ignoramuses. They really are. They're not people that have a life, who have good in their mind. They have to do evil because they don't know how to do good. They've never been taught, and they don't understand. They think people who are involved in these horrible, destructive acts, they really think they're helping the world in their own peculiar way, just like the Nazis did, just like the Ku Klux Klan. All these people who really have they don't understand. They haven't been taught properly. And so we, in every small way, have to show, and we have to understand that this particular BDS movement is part of a greater, tremendous anti-Semitic movement in the world. And within Israel, there are evil organizations that have crept in from all over the world, and believe it or not, even Germany, who supposedly should know better, trying to destroy Israel from within.
Right.
So we have to understand this is not isolated.
It's not, and we're not fighting it hard enough. You know that only in this country, first of all, in Canada, only Ontario has actually come out and made legislation against the BDS movement. And here you have the only states that have done it are, and the most recent was actually Michigan. So that Michigan became the 13th state to actually pass a bill. And then you had, of course, Governor Cuomo, as I mentioned, in New York. He did it through an executive order banning state agencies from investing in companies that support the boycotts of Israel. And you only have about 20 states that are considering or have passed legislation. So you're really, we barely have half the country that are actually, it's even on the radar scope. And I think one of the problems is because Jews are only about 2% of the country. There's only 5.5 million Jews in the country. So even though, you think, maybe there's a lot, maybe, there's some people who know a lot of Jewish people, but we are very small. And when people are small,
it's big for a lot of people.
Yeah, right.
If it's 2%, that's too much.
Yeah. All right. Okay, listen, Babi, I love you. And you know what? Hashem loves you even more.
Yes, and to you and to all our loved ones.
And I want to give you a big mazel tov because it was on this day some years ago you gave birth to a marvelous woman.
Yes, your wife.
That's true.
So,
it's great.
Mazel tov and happy anniversary as well.
Thank you.
And we should all only share good, including all the good Gentiles of the world.
Amen.
Including anyone.
But a side point, let's praise people, but the truth is, why do we give wifey birthday presents on her birthday? We should give you presents. You're the one who did the work.
That's what I said. Every mother should celebrate their kids' birthdays because it's really their birthday.
It is, right. It's the day that you gave birth.
That's right.
That's right. That's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start giving the presents to the mothers.
Pick up your wife. We have something important.
Very nice. Okay, love you, darling. Have a great day. Okay, the number to call is 702-257-5396, 702-257-5396. My name is Rabbi Yitzwine. We're talking about a support for support for Senate Bill 26 that will oppose the efforts of companies that boycott and divest and sanction Israel. Let's go to Jay. Jay, thank you for calling.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Jay. I got good news for you.
Oh, give it to me.
The Almighty loves you very much.
Yeah.
You like that news.
Feel it.
I'm glad you did, Baruch. Thank God.
Of course. And I can't make the rally tomorrow because I am working.
Excellent.
And it's at 1 o'clock. And we got a little issue with people taking a sick day to use for, say, a rally or a holiday.
Oh, it's such a good it's a good topic.
The virtue and the honesty in us. And that's why I hold doors for people in such a show, that we have to live that honest and feel-good thing. And I don't know, everyone's listening from our community. If they are, it's growing and it's beautiful. But we have to support. And if somebody wants a little gas money or an Uber, I know this sounds hokey, but I will provide that from work when we get in touch with whoever, and I will gladly send somebody down in my place because we need bodies to speak about all of this.
I love that, Jay. That is really beautiful. Okay, so if anybody needs an Uber to get over to the rally, then what they can do is they can send me, what you do is send me an email at rabbiyitzwine@gmail.com, or you can go on my Facebook or go on Jay Lefkowitz's Facebook page and just send him a private message, and Jay will take care of that to get you to the rally. Jay, that's awesome. But also, I agree with you very much. You're thinking like a Jew. Don't take a sick day to go to the rally.
Nope.
You can't be dishonest. You can't say, you can't. Doing a mitzvah through a sin is not a mitzvah. Doing the right thing through a sin and saying, I'm sick when you're not sick, and then you're going to a rally, that's being a creep. You're just being dishonest. You're stealing from your employer. So that's not going to bring any blessing to anybody. And I'm really glad you brought that up. That's a big thing.
I'm glad you're educating, and I'd like to know how to nurse here where I work, that I explained about Israel and stuff, and I went on Amazon. I got a used copy of Startup Nation, and I gave it to her to read because that book has a big, the whole thesis of how much the technology as we spoke and everything, and it's for good.
Right.
God forbid my son was sick in Israel and he got great care, and for anyone.
Yeah, it is amazing. We had a couple of guys in shul recently. They're going through sick health problems. And he goes, I got I got a heart problem and I got a liver problem. The best hospital in the world for liver is one in Israel. Another one is the best hospital in the world for hearts. Is like also another one in Jerusalem. So you have these two different. You have Hadassah and Kerem, and you have the other one. He goes, that's why I'm going to Israel, because like I got the two biggest problems, and these are the two best hospitals in the world taking care of this. So, all right, thank you, Jay.
One more little stick. They ask you when you get into the hospital if you don't want kosher food.
That's not funny.
All right. Thank you, Rabbi.
All right.
And for taking care of our growing community. It's joy.
Thank God. Thank God. All right. So listen, my name is Rabbi Yitzwine. Don't go away. We'll be back more with the Rabbi Show just a minute. Talking more about the BDS movement, and we'll take your calls at 702-257-5396. Back in a moment with more of the Rabbi Show. All right, good morning. My name is Yitzwine. I am the Rabbi of Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas and your host here on The Rabbi Show. The number to call, 702-257-5396. 702-257-5396. And we're talking about the anti-BDS legislation that is going in Nevada. Nevada is the most recent state to bring up a piece of legislation, Senate Bill 26, that is going to say, that's going to, it calls in support to oppose. I know it sounds like all these things are double negatives. We're going to support to oppose to support the opposition of the of whatever you're talking about. I don't exactly know why they always write them in such a way, but all right. So anyway, Senate Bill 26 is going to oppose the efforts of companies that boycott, divest, and sanction Israel. That's what that's about. Okay, so what you can do is, if you go on my Facebook page, go on to you get on to Yitzwine, YITZWYNE. You'll see that I had posted a little article, a link. That what you can do is you click on that link, and then you can. It takes you to another website with the Nevada government that allows you to chime in and give your opinion on this particular bill. So you could say, yes, you support the bill. That's what you want. And if you're not going to do that, or in addition to doing that, if you're able to make it out at 1:00 tomorrow, Monday, March 20th, if you can attend the Grant Sawyer office building, get there and support a Senate Bill 26, then you wave a flag, you stand up there, and that'll be a great thing. That's a very, very, very positive thing. And I hope that everyone who can be there is there. And they got our friend Jay, who said, listen, if a person needs an Uber to get out there, he'll pay for the Uber. Because the truth is, we got to help people to get out there. I want to bring up another thing that Jay said that was really, really insightful and really good, really important, is this idea that, sometimes, there's something that's very, very important in your life. And you say, but you have a job. So now you have a choice. Are you going to do the thing that's important in your life, or are you going to go to work? That's also important. But there's a loophole. You can take a sick day. There are some jobs that allow you to call in sick and say, listen, I get an X number of sick days a year. I'll get paid, and I'll go do what I want to do, and I just won't go to work, even though you're not sick. In Judaism, we have a word for that. It's called stealing. You're not allowed to do that. All right. What about taking a personal day? I have something that's personally important to me. And, of course, to my employer, it is personally important to him that I'm at work. Are you allowed to say, oh, listen, you know what? I won't be around. So that kind of depends on your work agreement. Are you allowed to do that? What's, obviously this is a perk that employers do. I mean, listen, there's some employers that they'll pay for your gym membership. They say they know there are companies that if you go to the gym, you work out 3 times a week, 4 times a week, they will pay for the membership because they want to encourage healthy bodies. It leads to a healthy mind, which leads to a more productive employee. So that's all part of the deal. So you're doing something that's good. The employer likes that if you go to the gym and you work out. So sometimes employers like it if you take a certain amount of, just like a certain amount of time that, for the personal days. I mean, they like that. So, but I always want to bring up that point that you got to think about doing the right thing, but doing the right thing means doing the right thing. It doesn't mean doing the wrong thing in order to do the right thing. So my Rebbe, Rav Noach Weinberg, he tells such a great story on this. Now, he uses this story to illustrate that if you're going to pray to God, you have to be honest when you speak with God. You think to yourself, oh, come on, Hashem. You think, who's going to be dishonest when they pray? It's a great story. So this is what happens. So, and it really illustrates the point on how sometimes when people pray to God, they're pulling strings. They're trying to fool the one that can never be fooled. So this is what happened. So it was in 1939. So my rabbi he was in he was in fourth grade, something like that. So he's living in fifth grade, and they're in New York, right? So the World's Fair is in New York. So the whole class said, we're all going to skip school. What grade? We're all going to fifth grade, sixth grade. They're all skipping school, right? That doesn't happen here, right? But listen, the first time I skipped school was I was in second grade. So I understand it, right? I was second grade, I played hooky. But anyway, the thing is like this. Different world. All right. So they all say, okay, listen, we're all going to skip school one day. We're going to go to the World's Fair. But the rule was everyone had to bring their own money. So everyone had to bring $1. Because evidently that would get you in the World's Fair and rides and cotton candy, whatever it was, right? Okay. So he didn't have any money. So if you don't have any money, you got to go to school. So he goes to his mother. And asked his mother, can I have $1? And she was broke. She didn't have any money. So he didn't have any money. His mom didn't have any money. He said, the only way I could get money from my father was if I memorized a certain amount of Torah, and I really didn't have enough time to memorize it. So he's walking to school and he's saying, listen, he thinks to himself, sometimes people find money on the floor. So he's walking to school. He's looking on the floor. He's looking. He says, maybe I should ask God for help. So he says, God, can you help me find $1? I really want to find $1. So he's getting closer and closer to school. He says, starts making deals. He says, God, if you let me find $1, then I'll make my bed every day. I'll be nicer to my mother. I'll clean up my room. He's not finding $1. He's getting close to the school. He says, God, I promise, if you let me find $1, I promise I'll never fight with my sister, right? And then he's like around the corner. He's about to walk into the schoolhouse, right? And he goes, I pulled out everything, my last straw. He said, God, I promise, if just I could find $1, I promise you, God, I will never do anything wrong for the rest of my life. And just then he started laughing and he said, who am I kidding? If I found $1 right now, the first thing I do is skip school. You got it? Love that story. All right. Because you got to realize, listen, you got to be honest. People got to be honest. And being honest is not always the easiest thing to do, right? Everyone has urges and desires. And when you're praying to God, you got to be honest. You got to say, God, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want because I know it's good for me. I know you think it's good for me. But if you ever turn to the Almighty and said, God, give me something, and you're thinking, this is horrible for you. That's just terrible. But you're asking for it anyway because maybe God will help you out. By the way, sometimes he does do that. Just part of the test of life. Just part of the test. So, that's why I say, this idea of I'll take a sick day. I'll do a sin. I'll lie to my employer in order to go do something positive, like stand up for the state of Israel. You don't want to do that. That's no good. Do the positive thing, stand up for the state of Israel in another way. Go on the website. Go on my Facebook, click on the link, that'll take you to the Nevada website and say, yes, you support Senate Bill 26 that will oppose the efforts of companies that boycott and divest Israel. Okay, let's do something more fun. I want to get some more fun. Fun. So let's go through these people who hate Jews. And the reason, because it surprises us, because we don't really think anybody does hate Jews. We don't really think anybody's really against Israel. I mean, who'd be against Israel, Well, let me tell you, the U.S. Mennonite Church will not knowingly invest in companies that benefit from product services used to perpetrate acts of violence against Palestinians, Israelis, and other people's groups. The United States Mennonite Church, they were into it. The Teachers Union of Ireland, they did an academic boycott of Israel. The Deutsche Bank, Germany's largest bank, sold all of its holdings in Elbit Systems in 2010 because of the BDS movement. The Norwegian government pension fund sold its shares in Elbit Systems because of its role in building the West Bank barrier. The United Church of Canada adopted a resolution to boycott products originating from Israeli settlements in the disputed territories of the West Bank. Artists like Elvis Costello, bummer, because Elvis Costello, his wife is a very talented artist. She's forgot her name, but out of Vancouver, and she is a tremendous artist. But Elvis Costello, Las Vegas' own Snoop Dogg, Meg Ryan, they've all refused to perform in Israel. Get that? Who would have thought Snoop Dogg? Who would have thought? Legendary UK musicians Pink Floyd's Roger Waters has reiterated his strong support for the Palestinian campaign to boycott and divest and sanction Israel. You know, yeah, buddy, I think you need some education. You need some education. That's who needs it. All right. The British Quakers, they voted to boycott Israeli products. University of Johannesburg in South Africa, they terminated the relationship with Ben Gurion University in Israel. The Copenhagen City Council in Denmark canceled its contracts with security company G4S, citing links to Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Terrible. Terrible. You get this. There's so many. There's be a food co-op in the United States. You know, they did that. It's just really gross. Again, yeah, the Methodist Church in the United Kingdom. You know, there's a lot of these. Babe, if you go through this, it's a lot of Denmark, a lot of Ireland, a lot of Methodist Church, a little bit of Scotland is against Israel. You know, Norwegian stuff, a lot of European stuff, a lot of Spanish stuff. Spanish governments, 26 local and regional governments in Spain. They all have pulled. They're all supporting. They're supporting the BDS movement. United Church of Christ. We gave you Jesus. Love that line. I love that line. Okay, you should love us. All right, the number to call is 702-257-5396. 702-257-5396. What do you think is the right movement? What do you think is the right way to handle these people that are engaged in the BDS movement, the boycott, divest, and sanction Israel movement? How do you handle it? I will tell you again. You know, we spoke about this the other week, last week. You know, we're talking about Purim, and you know, listen, God brings troubles to the Jews because Jews don't behave like Jews. If you behave like someone who should be a light into the nation, who should be a moral light into the nation, then what's going to happen is you will have a small group of people but they don't want morality and they don't want goodness, and they will fight against you. But generally, people will love you. One of the blessings that we give is such a beautiful point. One of the blessings that we give to others is that God should shine his favor upon you. It's something that we read the Torah and you find blessings. God should shine his favor upon you. And what that means is that the Almighty places thoughts in people's minds. And these thoughts could be thoughts of goodness. In other words, they like you. Or they could be thoughts of disparagement, where the Almighty puts a thought in someone's mind and they don't like you. So when you say, God, please shine your favor upon my child, what you're saying is, God, when people look at my child, you should be putting in others' minds that they find my child to be favorable, that they like him. And this is something that's very, very important. I would say if you support Israel, you support the Jewish people, support morality, I give you a blessing. God should find favor upon you, which means you should become popular. People should love you, which I'll tell you something. It's interesting. If you want to know one of the ways that God tells us, one of the signs, so to speak, that God shares with us that we are doing what's right in the Almighty's eyes is when people stop and they are favorably disposed towards us. There were only a few exceptions in the Talmud. The Talmud brings out a few exceptions. One was King David. You'd think, King David, everyone loved, he loved God so much. He was an amazing guy. Isaiah and Jeremiah. And these were three people that were very, very popular in the eyes of God, but they were not popular in the eyes of the people. People did not like King David so much. They didn't like Isaiah and Jeremiah. Of course, they really went after him. And the difference between the reason that people went after them, even though they were very beloved and precious in the eyes of the Almighty, was because they spent a lot of time rebuking others. Because they were, King David, Isaiah, Jeremiah, these were people that were not shy in turning and saying, you know what? You're doing the wrong thing in God's eyes. No one likes to be told they're doing the wrong thing. Everyone likes to be told, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're doing great. Oh, you look so good. I'm so happy with you. I'm so pleased with you. But have you ever met a person that they say, I don't know why you have a problem with me. You got a problem with me. My mother has a problem with me. My boyfriend has a problem with me. Everyone's got a boyfriend with me. Everyone's got a problem with me. Well, I got news for you, kid. If everybody's got a problem with you, that might be a sign that God has a problem with you. If only one person has a problem with you, then it's probably not a big deal. But if everybody has a problem with you, this one's got this, and this one's got that, and this one's got that, then it might be that God has a problem with you. And if God has a problem with you, then you got a much bigger problem than any of these people. Okay? So that's the key over here. Number to call, 702-257-5396. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Cassius. Cassius, good morning. Cassius? Fine, I won't go to you. Okay. He's going to come on. But it's good he'll come on, because otherwise I would say I'm going to boycott him. No, I'm not boycotting you. Cassius, you there?
Yes, Rabbi. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. Very quick point concerning this movement to divest and boycott the state of Israel. I think that the state of Israel, which is in fact a Jewish state, no matter what the counter arguments are. And I think that's half the problem, by the way, just as an aside, because these attacks are coming from the far left, if you look at it.
100%.
And George Soros is another one that's stirring up some of these problems. But I think the state of Israel should do a better job in public relations, such as during the Six-Day War and the Yom Kippur War, they stated their case for their actions in the West through the newspapers. I think we have a lot more media now in terms of its reach. I think the state of Israel needs to show the false premises, the multiple false premises that these people are working from, whether it's this lie, this myth that Arab people are not afforded full citizenship, or they're paid less, or they're somehow mistreated within the state of Israel, which is a complete and utter lie. And also going to the settlements that somehow these are illegal and not the historic lands of the Jewish people. They just really need to get their case made because, as you know, whether it's Harvard, Yale, or Tumbleweed Tech locally, they're being taught in the schools that Israel is a crusader state,
right,
an imperialist state, and oppressive to all those around them, specifically Muslim Arabs. It's a complete and utter lie, and we need to have more of the other side promulgated.
Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the question is like this, how do you do it? In other words, if you look at Prime Minister Netanyahu, you look at Israel does, they're sending out they're sending out the beacon as much as they can,
mm-hmm.
but you have to be relentless in saying this is the way it is, 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 and there is there are unfortunately so many people who hate Jews and hate Israel that Israel's very small compared to everyone else. So their message does get drowned out very often. So that's the problem. But I definitely appreciate your words, and I could not agree with you more.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks. The number to call, 702-257-5396, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Adam. Good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Adam, I got great news.
Let's hear it.
The Almighty loves you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Like it.
So I think the BDS movement is a great movement if they are 100% committed in boycotting everything Israel, the technology, the science, the medical advancements, and really going for 100% commitment and not just what they don't like.
Right. That's right. That's what I said. You're right. None of them should use their cell phones. None of them should use major parts of their computers. None of them should take a lot of the medications that are available today. None of them should go under surgery. And if they did that, they'd all die off real soon, probably, actually. It'd be okay.
It'd be wonderful. And then going back to your past caller, mentioning the oppression of Israel to the Muslim world. It's funny with the state of Israel is about the size of Rhode Island, and it's being oppressing the entire Muslim world of that area.
Right. I mean, and that's the problem. Like, Ash's point is well taken in that Israel's got to do a better PR job. But again, you're working, you got 7 million people who live in Israel. Okay. And 1.5 million citizens in Israel, and 1.5 million of them are Arabs, right? So you got 5.5 million Jews that are living in Israel. And then you're in a neighborhood that's surrounded by 175 million Arabs. So you're dealing with the proportions are so overwhacked. Now, comparatively, that's true. Israel has won more Nobel Prizes than any other country ever in the world. And we're not talking per capita. We're just talking about number of prizes. Okay, right? So, in other words, the accomplishments are just astounding. But we're very small. People don't realize how small we are.
Right.
I think, by the way, that's why only half the states in America have taken any kind of anti-BDS movement legislation because, how many Jews are living in Idaho anyway? Idaho.
A million?
Yeah, maybe it's a million, So that's the thing. There's so few. It's like what are you gonna do? It's actually quite remarkable that Nevada, with such a small Jewish population, is also, is climbing in and saying, okay, they're one of the states to chime in. So that's the story, Adam. Are you going to be there tomorrow?
I will be working, unfortunately, but I like what Jay's doing, and I definitely support that.
Excellent. So definitely go on the website and put in your.
Already did.
Put in your vote. You're the man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, have a great day.
Okay, have a great day, Adam. Thank you. The number to call is 702-257-5396, 702-257-5396. That's right. Listen, this is you got to stand up against the people that are against Israel. And a big part is that people have to know they make a difference. Everything we do makes a difference. Yesterday at Young Israel Aish, it's such a great community. Oh my gosh. If you have not been to Young Israel Aish for a Shabbat morning, you want to come. Like, come on a Saturday morning. That's when everything's hopping. I give a class at 11. We read the Torah at, say, 10-ish. But 10 o'clock, bring the Torah out. I give my main talk at around 11. Another class, then everyone sits around. We eat, we schmooze. It's really fun. So, Young Israel Aish, Las Vegas, growing community, outreach community. If you've never been to an Orthodox synagogue before, you want to try this one out. And it's a lot of fun. So it's near the corner of Fort Apache and Sahara. It's kind of we're right next to the La Quinta Suite Hotel and the Sahara West Library. But also Tuesday nights at 7:30. Generally, I give a great class but actually I got to stand and double. Peter Dabowski, who's a very, very funny and insightful person, he will be giving a class on Passover. So if you want to, this Tuesday evening at 7:30, and I think that if you want to get into Passover, understand it a little better, and connect with some Jewish heritage, then I highly recommend that class. That'll be Tuesday evening, 7:30 at Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas, and you want to do that. All right. So what else can I? How else can I help your life? You know what? If you go on to my YouTube channel, go to Yitz Wine, YITZ WYNE. Type in that or Young Israel Aish, and you'll get these weekly videos that I give every week. And last week we were talking about the golden calf, the sin of the golden calf. And one of the problems in the Torah, when you read it, is it says that basically that all the Jewish people participated in the golden calf, but only 3,000 Jews were actually punished. And how do you resolve that? Because you got to know that every Jew is responsible for another Jew. Every person, you look across the street and you see another person, if his life is not as good as it could be, you're a little responsible to help make it better. If you see someone doing the wrong thing, you got to stand up and say, listen, you're doing the wrong thing. This is the right thing. And you got to help people do more of the right thing. And by taking responsibility for each other, we make the world a much better place. That's how it works. Hey, my name is Rabbi Yitzwine of Young Israel Aish Las Vegas. And remember always, thanks for listening to The Rabbi Show. And
Great God in heaven, you know I love.
live joyfully. Life is great. Life is great.